It is indeed. Right. Okay, so if you haven't got a towel, roll up your mat like so, quite tight, just so you've got something to kind of go under your heels and support your heels. If you've got a towel, again, roll it up kind of long ways so it's nice and tight. So I'll give you a very quick demonstration so you know what we're going to do. I'm going to put my heels on it, go wide through the legs, and I'm going to sink it to the bottom of the squat. Yeah, and it just makes it that, especially at this time in the morning. You know, most people have got some restriction in the squat, whether it's the hips or the ankles or something like that. So just something to prop your heels up. And I'll just give you a moment to, because I can't see the bottom too, just give you a moment, either roll your mat up or roll your towel up, and then we'll get started. Like I say, it's just to prop your heels up, just so sitting in the bottom of the squat is, you know, you can be there for a little bit longer usually if you've got something under your heels. Donna is performing this nicely. Here's one I made earlier. Thank you. I want to see how it's done. There it was. Right, okay. I'm going to assume we're all good to go. So take your, whatever you've got rolled up, and then put your heels on it. And I would go, like I say, it's less about improving your squat and more about mobilizing the hips. So we are going to assume some dodgy positions that I would never usually teach for a squat, then that's okay. So wide through the legs, turn your feet out a little bit, you know, maybe, I don't know, what's that, 5 to 1, something like that. Stand up nice and tall, so get your chest lifted to start with. Stick your butt out, so send your butt back as far as you can and sink down into the bottom of the squat. And you're just kind of exploring at the bottom. All I'm doing is shifting from side to side. You can use your elbows to press out into your knees a little bit. And you just kind of, I don't know, hanging out. And as you move, you can kind of come up a bit, you can sink a little bit, you can round, absolutely, round into the spine, you can even drop the head. And you're just kind of searching for the squidgy bits, searching for those bits that are a little bit, that's a technical term. And then we're not going to be down there too long. You can either, if you are okay to come straight up, great. Or if you prefer, place your hands, plant your hands down and kind of tip forward and push yourself up out of that squat. Because being down there, sometimes things seize up. So just rock from side to side when you come to standing, and just loosening things off again. And then we're going to sink back down. So same again, really hinge at the hips, stick your butt out, right back. So you're sinking down in a nice posture. There's no such thing as nice, is there? But relatively lifted through the chest, nice and straight through the back. And again, I'm just pressing out gently into my knees, no force, and just kind of making it a little bit bigger. My restriction is at the ankle. So when I'm doing this, I like to come right over. I'll send my knee right over my toes, really feel the stretch into the calf and Achilles on that side. Hang about there. And then come over to the other side. So you've got options. It's all about moving. So move wherever you feel like your body needs it. And then come back to center, and this time you're going to bring one hand opposite ankle. Just grab hold, opposite ankle, best you can. It might be your calf, it might be your knee, that's okay. And then you're just going to open the chest out, twisting around. So I'm pulling on the opposite shin and just twisting around. You can go arm up or just twist from the shoulder. And then release, and we rock to the other side. You can bring the other hand across, and same again. Breathe, and just rotate. No matter where it looks like at this point, like I say, we're just moving it. Then release out of that. Same again, plant the hands if you need to, and come on out of that, and then give your legs a little bit of a shake, because they'll probably need it. Have a little bit of a wander. And we're going to do one more time, just one more mobilization for the hips. Come back. You can change your foot position if you want to go narrower, or if you want to go even wider. You know, if you're feeling kind of frisky this morning, go a little bit wider, turn the feet out a little bit more. Same again, sink yourself down. And this time I'm making that sort of movement a little bit bigger. I'm making it a little bit more leg focused. Just rocking from side to side. Our heels are coming up now. You know, I'm coming up onto the toes. But like I say, it's nothing specific here in terms of what it looks like. You are just moving through the hips and the legs in this case. Just getting some movement in. And then this time, instead of coming to standing, we're going to come to the mat. So however you want to get there, come down onto your mat. So today's core exercise, moving swiftly on, mindful mountain climbers. So mountain climbers tend to be one of those exercises where things can go horribly wrong. So we're going to make it a little bit more mindful this morning. So to start with, just come to all fours. I'm hoping, yeah, you can, that you can see my feet. So my feet are flat to the floor. The tops of my feet are flat on the floor. And I've got hands under shoulders, knees under hips. So from here, watch my right leg. If I just pivot over my toes and straighten my leg, it will go straight and perfectly straight so that when I do the other one, I come into a plank without having to faff about. So usually when I say come into a plank, I get this, oh, I've got to get sorted, oh, up, down, yeah. So if you come from all fours, pivot over the toes, all I'm doing is straightening the leg and tucking the toes under. And then the other side, you should come into what I refer to as a faff-free plank. Faff-free plank. Now, I'm just going to hold and breathe. And I'm assuming everybody's okay. And then same again, to come back down, lay the foot down flat, bend the knee. Lay the other foot down flat, bend the knee. Yes, so it means there's less movement through the hips, the spine, and all of that kind of thing. So we're going to do that again. We're going to come up. So straighten one leg, straighten the other, and then I presume everybody knows what mountain climber is, but I might be mistaken. So mountain climber is when you bring knee to elbow. So we're going to bring right knee to right elbow, nice and steady, and then take it back. Left knee, left elbow, take it back. And then bend the knee and come back to all fours. If you need to come off your hands and rest your wrists, that's fine. You've got a tiny break in between each one. So on this next one, we'll do exactly the same, but we're going to do two on each side. So same again, right leg straightens, left leg straightens, right knee, right elbow, left knee, left elbow, right knee, right elbow, left knee, left elbow. Bend one knee, bend the other knee. Job's a good one. Guess what's coming? 3. If you couldn't guess, it's 3. So we're going to do 3 from this next one, 3 on each side. I can hear the enthusiasm through the muted people on the screen. Here we go. Straighten one leg, straighten the other leg. Right, left, right, left. One more each side, nice and slow. Bend one knee, and then come back off your wrists for a moment to give them a little bit of a wriggle. We're building up to 5, by the way, you'll be excited to learn. So I'm not giving you too many cues for this one, because if you've got a decent plank, when you bend the knee in towards the elbow, your back will stay fairly solid. It's usually if you've come up into a crappy plank, so your preparation or your starting point usually dictates how the rest of the exercise is going to go. So fingers crossed, decent plank equals decent mountain climber. The waffle is your rest. So me waffling is your rest period. Here we go again. Straighten one leg, straighten the other. Right knee, right elbow, left, right. Make sure you breathe in, left. Number 3, number 3, number 4, number 4, and then down, bend, bend. If you need to just rock back off your wrist for a moment, that's absolutely fine. One more step, 5, and then we're done. There's no set breathing pattern with this. I just want you to breathe. Yeah, holding your breath while you do your core exercises is not coming plan, especially if we're not doing a pelvic floor session here, but especially if you've got any kind of pelvic floor thing. So make sure you breathe in. All right, coming back. 5 this time. Ready? Straighten one leg, straighten the other. And we go 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, and then bend one knee, and then the other, and come back off your wrist. Nicely done, if you managed all of that. All right, so yesterday we worked on a glute bridge. We're coming up into a glute bridge. Like I said, there's 20 million ways to teach a bridge. They all have value, they all do something different. So today, we're going to do a hamstring bridge. We've got more of a focus on the hamstrings today, that we will have in a moment. So bridges, usually your heels are relatively close to your bum. And typically closer to your bum they are, the more you're going to get into your glutes or your back, depending on how you lift. So the further away your feet go from you, the more hamstring you're going to hit. So if you imagine that straight out is whatever, and then all the way in is all the way in, you want to be halfway. If that made any sense whatsoever. About halfway. We'll do the same as we did yesterday, just for argument's sake. We're going to squash the lower back. So flatten the lower back into the mat gently, and then come up into your bridge, leading with the pubic bone. So lead with the pubic bone, in other words, you're keeping tucked under, and then slowly down. And then straighten your legs up to the ceiling. Yep, both. Everybody's like, what? That's not a bridge. And you're going to point and flex there. So all we're doing is lengthening the hamstrings before we work them again. Yeah, and then bend. Come back to that same position. So if you need to work it out, you can either be flat to start with and then come halfway. Curl the tailbone under and lift. Good. And then lower. Same again, just lengthen out the hamstrings, point and flex at the top. You can hold on to your thighs. All I'm doing is, like I said, lengthening the hamstrings before we work them again. Coming down, same thing, halfway, roughly. Tuck the tail, flatten out your lower back and lift. We're just holding at the top on this one. So all I've done here is we've just warmed up and then make this slightly harder. So coming back down, one last time, lengthen the hamstrings up towards the ceiling, or feet up towards the ceiling, flex. Give them a wiggle. So it's not just a static stretch, and then bend. Now this time, if this is halfway, I want you to go even more, 3/4. 3/4 to flatten. You can have your toes up, your heels, your toes up, heels down, toes up, is what I'm trying to say. So same again, tuck the tail slightly and lift. Now hopefully you should feel that your glutes are trying desperately to help you out here. There should be some tension in your glutes as well as your hamstrings. And it's just an isometric hold at the top. So breathe as best you can. And then lower back down. If your hamstrings and knees are, if you kind of cramped up or held a little bit in nippy in the hamstrings, just give them a wiggle. And then come back down. And then challenge it even more. Coming up on my mat square here. See how far you can go. Really flex the feet. So as far as you can without fully straightening the legs, obviously, because that's truly dreadful. So same again, as close to the floor as you can get with the knees, and then lift. And you find that you don't get very far. It's not a big lift, but it's quite a lot of work for the back of the body. Make sure you breathe in. Keep holding, keep it there. Hamstrings massively important for running. Unfortunately, they don't get an awful lot of work. We tend to neglect them. They don't usually get a workout. And release back down. Nicely done. Good stuff. If you need to, in fact, we will do. Let's straighten one leg out, straighten one leg up to the ceiling. Your typical hamstring stretch. Grab hold of somewhere on the back of the leg. Gently pull it towards you. Doesn't need to be big. You can point and flex the foot at the top if you wish. If you need the other leg to be bent just to give you more range, that's fine. Not overly concerned if your back's flattening out or anything like that. Just let your hamstring relax and then go over the other side. Give it a little bit of love. point and flex the foot, or you can, yeah, like Donna's doing, I quite like that as well, bending it straight in the knee. Either way. Lengthening out the hamstring. Marvellous, good, right, okay, so we're coming up into the standing series. Sorry, having a brain moment. Let's get rid of that. So one of my favourite exercises for runners is single leg deadlift, and it's this exercise here, parallel to the floor and back up, and it works hamstrings and glutes. But just for today, we're going to regress it slightly, kind of build up to it a little bit. So I'm going to bring, let's go right, I'm trying to get an angle that you can kind of see what I'm doing. So bring your right leg forward and take your left leg just behind you. It's not a big step, it's not a lunge. Toes are down, heel is up. Lift the chest and keep it lifted. Nice open chest. Hands are going to look down by your sides, almost like I'm like blades, and they should land either side of your foot. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. So you're going to bend both legs, and you're going to keep the chest lifted, keep your back straight. And it's like I'm touching either side of my foot. And what would usually be there is 2 kettlebells or 2 dumbbells or something along those lines that I would be picking up and then coming back to standing. Yeah. So same again, bend both legs, keep the chest lifted, look forward or just in front of you. Touch the floor. And then stand back up. And all the weight, or most of the weight, is through this front leg. It's getting into this glute here. Going to do one more. Same thing, chest lifted, back nice and flat. It stays that way. Keep the chest lifted, forward. Touch, really stand, push the floor away with the front heel. And come on up. And we're going to switch sides. And if you can't tell where this is heading, on the next round, we're going to do it with the back leg lifted. So it's going to make it a lot more challenging in a minute. But I want them, especially the back and the chest. Chest up, facing forward, same thing. Bend both legs, load up that front leg. Touch the floor, either side of the foot. Then push the floor away with the heel on the left to stand back up. Then again, chest lifted, sink down, bending both legs. Stand into the front leg and come on up. One more time. Chest lifted, sink. Push the floor away and stand. And then we're going to switch legs and it will all make a lot more sense. But if you've got the back movement or the back being straight, then we're good to go. So switch legs, assume the same position with the back leg where it was before. And then all you're going to do from there is where the hamstring kicks in. This is what happens when you're running, is bend. So if you imagine you were running, this would be that kind of phase of the running cycle, yeah? So from there, keeping the back leg as bent as you can, chest up, etc. Same thing, you're going to sink down on that front leg. We've got the added balance challenge now. Keep your gaze up, touch either side of the foot, and then really push down into the heel to bring it back up. Same again, try not to put the foot down. You've only got 3 to do. Imagine you're picking something up and then stand. Because we all pick something up like this, don't we? On one leg, without a knee bend. One more time. Oh, you lost it. Push the floor away and come on up. Is everybody wobbling all over? That's the whole point about balance. If you're doing balance training, you should wobble. If you're not wobbling, we're not trying hard enough. All right, we'll do the other side. Yeah, so switch sides. Left leg forward, right leg back. Heel up. Nice and lifted through the chest. Spine straight. Bend at the knee. So hamstring has to do a little bit of work here. You want to try and get your heel as close to your butt as possible. Once you've got your balance, start to bend that front leg. Keep the chest and the gaze up. Touch the floor if you can. And then coming back up. And you'll find you've got one side slightly less awesome than the other. Now I've just found mine this morning. Again, 2 more to do. Slower the better. Try not to hold your breath. One last time. And stand, if you haven't already. Well done. So before we come back to that, and come back into, not come back into, you're going to come into a stretch, a lunge, not stretch, a lunge. So 90-90 at the hips and the knees. Looks like this, 90-90, hips and knees, 90 degrees. Now, there's a tendency when we do lunges to shift the weight forward, because shifting the weight forward makes it a lot easier to come up off the floor, right? So this is what I refer to as the most dreadful lunge ever. So you need to curl your tailbone under slightly, so you're not arching your lower back. So curl the tailbone under, and you push down into the front leg and the back leg equally, and just hover your back leg off the floor, back knee off the floor. If you need to come forward to get your knee up, that's fine. So the further forward you come, and then take the weight back, so you really load up the legs. Breathe, and then lower back down. And then we're going to switch sides. So there's sometimes an issue with balance with this exercise, and it's sometimes because you've gone too narrow, so you've gone like a tightrope, yeah, heel and knee in a tightrope position. Go a little bit wide with the foot so you still hip distance apart, and that might help you balance. Why not? So same again, whatever you need to do, in other words, shift forward as much as you need to get your back knee up, and then take the weight back so you feel miserable. We hold for 3, 2, for 1, and we go back down. Well done, good. We're going to come back up, we're going to do one more round of your single leg deadlift. We're going to stay with what we were doing before. I'll probably add on the bigger bits tomorrow, but let's stick with what we've got right now. So I think I did right leg first, left leg back. So right leg forward, left leg back. Bend at the knee. So keep the leg pushing back and try and keep that sort of hip movement of the leg moving back behind the body and the heel up towards your bum. Chest lifted, gaze forward. Start to bend that front leg. You can touch, or get as far as you can, and then come back up. Same again. 2 more, just 3 each side. Last one. Well, it's for me, you might be moving quicker than me, and that's absolutely fine. Yep. Once you've done 3, other side, I'm only turning around so you can see, but I think you kind of grasped what we're doing right now. So again, keeping the thigh behind the body, bend, heel up to knee, find your balance. 3, nice and steady, as slow as you can, while still moving. Cheat at the bottom like I did and put your fingers down so you balance better. Well done, good. All right, we're going to finish off with what I think is a really nice stretch. So coming back down onto your mat, you up to start with. You come forward, you're going to, it's like half a child's pose, I suppose. You're going to take your left arm out along the mat, as far as it will go, butt in the air. And you're going to sink your left elbow down towards, not your left elbow, sorry, your left armpit down towards the mat. The other hand is going to come out to the side. So that's your kickstand. It's going to, the right hand is going to help you move. So sinking down, you can let the head hang as well. And then you're going to use the right hand to push you left. So I'm pushing directly sideways. Breathe here. You should feel, I say should, you might feel a stretch into the shoulder, into the lat, the armpit, depending on just where your peak bits are. And you can alter the position of your right hand and push from different angles to give you a different stretch. It's subtle, right there. And then slowly release, and then we do the other side. So same thing. Right arm stretches out as far as you can go, walk it away from you. Even that's a stretch in some cases. Quite a nice one on this side, actually. Sink the armpit down towards the mat. You might find you've got more range in one shoulder, it's easier. Use the other hand to push you sideways. I'm not twisting, I'm pushing myself sideways, so I'm still level to the mat, apart from my head. That can be level to the mat as well, but anyway. And breathe into the stretch there. Again, if you want to play with hand positions, it's less about staying still. Really, you can wiggle about in that position. And then release. And I told a lie, I've got 2 stretches for you. You've got a lunge stretch as well. So coming up into that lunge position again, or a long lunge position this time. So instead of 90-90, take that front leg or front foot a little bit further away. So this is a crappy lunge. I would never teach a lunge like this. So I'm just going to allow the body to sink. I'm not concerned with twisting the hips to keep them square. I'm not concerned with tucking under to try and get the hip flexors stretch. I'm just sinking and allowing this whole front side to really open. I'm going to use, picture your right leg that's forward. I'm going to use my right elbow or my right hand on the knee, probably my hand. And I'm going to, instead of using my back muscles to straighten up, I'm going to push myself upright and slightly further back. So I'm coming into this little bit of extension, but I'm using my arms to do it. So I'm not doing this movement, yoga, yeah? I'm using my hands to do it so it becomes a nice stretch. You lift the chin, and then to add into that, the leg that's back, that's the arm that comes up. And you reach even further back. Now for me today, it's a stretch into the groin. Sometimes it's quad. You'll get it where you get it. Make sure you can breathe. If you've gone too far and your breath's cut off like mine just did, ease out of it a little bit so that you can still breathe. And then lower the arm. Push yourself back up to kneeling position, and then we switch sides. So starting off 90-90, then take that foot a little bit further forward, and then sink the hips forward. The movement that I say to never do. Well, not when you try to stretch your hip flexors anyway. So it's not about your hip flexors, more about the groin and the hips and getting into all that juicy stuff around the abdomen, the pelvis. Okay, same again. So same hand, same leg. Push yourself or upright and back slightly. When you're ready, add in the arm. Remember to breathe, and the reason why I'm remembering to breathe and tell you to breathe is because I'm not doing. So obviously tighter on this side. Breathe and stretch, enjoy. And then release out of it. And look at that, Donna, you'd be proud. It's bang on 7 again. I'm getting awesome at this timing shit. Can you tell how proud I am? How proud of myself I am for getting my timings right. Right. Again, feedback, if any, in the group or here now. If you want to speak to me, that's fine. If you don't want to speak to me, I completely understand after that. So we'll continue on the theme. Hip mobilization, back line, so glutes, hamstrings, calves. We'll get to calves. That's the plan. Everything that you need for your running stuff. The opening stuff and the stretching is designed to give you a little bit more range of movement in the joints that you need for running. So that's the cunning plan. That's kind of where we're headed over the next few weeks. And then it will get slightly more tricky and slightly more, I might even introduce some plyometric stuff towards the back end. So some bouncing about, which will be fun for anybody trying to sleep in the house. You're bouncing about like rabbits.
All right, so I will leave you to it. Have a great day, and hopefully we'll see you all tomorrow. See you later, chaps.
Thanks, Kelly.
You're welcome.